from now.
अच्छा ये मेरा फायदा है कि okay, got it.
We're live now.
All right. So, Asma, we're live. Should I start?
Please go ahead. I'm going to go on mute till you speak, okay? I think that'll be best.
Okay, perfect.
We're live
All
today.
right. So, hi everyone watching, all the audience. I hope you're all doing amazing. Here we have some amazing mompreneurs with us who are mothers and entrepreneurs and who've been doing amazing work since so long. And honestly, they're inspirational, especially with Mother's Day just passed by round the corner. I think I'm really honored to host them all today with me over here to, just talk about their struggles, their challenges, their experiences, managing a business, as well as managing their children, running a house, and really getting that experience and doing so much more and inspiring the lives as we go. So before I begin with my questions for this discussion, I would like to introduce you to Nida, Ziana, and Zahra, and I would like all of them to just take 2 minutes to explain what they do. Let's start with Nida.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you for having me, Javeria. Thank you, Team Circle. Really admire the work that you guys do. We're in the same space, so it's really an honor to be here on this side of the table as well. My name is Nida Athar. I head an accelerator by the name of INNOventures Global. For the past 5 years, I've been the program director for SC Women in Tech program for Pakistan. My work kind of puts me on both sides of the table of being somebody who facilitates women entrepreneurs, as well as being one myself as well, managing my own consultancy. And there's an edtech startup that we do ourselves. It's a hard road. Sometimes you feel that you're doing too much. I'm also really proud to be a mom of 3, an 11-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 3-year-old. So really looking forward to this conversation and sharing the experiences.
All right, that is great, Nida. And yes, SC Women in Tech connected us. Nida was one of our mentors. She organized everything brilliantly and really gave us, the contacts and networking to connect with some of the biggest industry experts. So over to you, Zahra. Explain to us what mappedpk is.
Yes, hi everybody. Assalamu alaikum. As you know, my name is Zahra. I actually, I think much later in my life, I went back to study architecture and as a mom, so I have a 13-year-old daughter as well. So this was nearly 6 years ago. I decided that I didn't want to be a teacher anymore. I used to be a Montessori teacher, and then I went back to school and I did a 5-year degree in architecture. And while doing that in my 3rd year, I made a map for a friend and everybody just loved it. And there were no maps in Pakistan. Nobody was making them. And people just wanted to get them and buy them. So I started making a lot of them from my computer lab at university. And then it started selling them and people would come to university to buy them. And then it just grew from there. And now, alhamdulillah, I'm proud to say that it supported me as a student. It's also supporting other students and also mothers. So I was a single mother at that time, and it supported me through COVID. And now I have a partner. She also has kids, and she works in Pakistan, and we're trying to expand. I'm in Australia at the moment, and our team is made up of brilliant women and students. And yeah, we're looking forward to doing great things with these maps. So basically what we do is make artistic maps. These are not cartography maps, they're actually artistic maps, and they basically ground you to your memories and roots and your travels. So you can check out our page and see what we do.
All right, that is so cute. And I think you mentioning that you were also a Montessori school teacher, you don't just have one kid, you had multiple kids. Because I think teachers always think of kids like as their own. So
Absolutely.
you do have a lot of experience with kids. So, and yeah, that's a great thing that you're doing. Honestly speaking, I think memories are something that really make us human and, keep us intact with our emotions as well. So I think that's a really cute idea. So over to you, Ziana. Explain to us what Bechlo is. I mean, I know what Bechlo is. Explain to everyone what Bechlo is.
Thank you so much, Javeria. So my name is Ziana Sakhia. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Bechlo.pk. Bechlo.pk is basically a marketplace where we're digitizing social sellers, people who are selling products through Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram, specifically women. It's a huge industry, informal industry within the female demographic. So we're basically taking their social selling one step further and bringing it to a formal e-commerce space. So what they can do is basically, instead of having to rely on DMs on Facebook, where they've sent a post and people have liked some items, and then they have to manually answer questions and try and organize the delivery and go back and forth. We streamline and digitize the entire process where they can upload their products onto Bechlo.pk, and then we take care of the customer service, the delivery, the payments, everything for them. And what this does is this frees up their time to work on their business, to spend time with their families, because, as moms or as women, even if you're not a mom, as a woman, there's just so many hats that you wear, right? So we try and simplify that entire process for them. And we have a large network of sellers in Bechlo.pk, and predominantly they are middle-aged women, people who are moms as well. So I think that's very relevant to the conversation today. And yeah, looking forward to the rest of the discussion.
All right, that's great. So before I begin the discussion, really, I would just like to talk about, honestly speaking, I'm a student right now. I'm just 20, and the support that my mother gives me, rose ke base me on a daily basis, such as, small things such as khana khalo, bringing me food. And I think all moms do that. And I think that really pushes you to do better and to make them proud. And talking about Dollat in itself, when I started Dollat as a freelancing platform to, really empower the women who don't get opportunities to, go out to work and, work remotely from home. It's like a freelancing platform for the audience. So it's a freelancing platform that connects local freelancers to international clients. So I think having my mom over there supporting me, encouraging me to, go forward, and then also giving women, including mothers, the opportunity to work remotely from their house, I think that is also very important in a way, especially in our society where we're constantly evolving towards, empowering and giving opportunities. So I would just like to ask a question. So firstly, though, I think let's go with Ziana, since Ziana just ended it off. Ziana, what really inspired you towards, getting on this journey, and what were what inspired? What was your main inspiration?
So it's ironic. I've had this is my third business that I've started, and I have 3 children. Ironically, I don't know ironically, I mean, I think that's just the way it works. Every time I started my business, it was when I was going to be I was already on maternity leave, or I was just about to have a child. Because for me, it was very important to be home with my kids, for especially the first 3 years. It was a personal choice. I had the luxury of being able to do that. But I've always been an ambitious person. I've always been somebody who wants to do something and who wants to continue to make a difference. And I realized that, a happy mother is a good mother, right? So I felt like for me, if I want to be there for my child, but I also need something that's my other baby. So that's actually when I started each of my businesses. And it's very relevant to the fact that it was because I was becoming a mom at that point, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to work along our job, that I needed the flexibility of working from home, working on my own terms, working for my own timings, and doing something that really I felt had an impact. So each of my businesses has also been very impact focused, and has been surrounding or working around women. So they've been women centered each time. Simply because of the fact that for me and the women I've seen around me, whether underprivileged or whether from a privileged class as well, the one thing that holds us back a lot, whether you're from a corporate sector, whether you're from the entrepreneurial sector, is the ability to continue working either once you get married and you have to move abroad, for example, or you move cities. That kind of puts a kink in your corporate sector job. Or when you have children. I have so many very talented friends who did decide to take that step back and stay home with their children. But then when, to stay home with their children, as any mom knows, there's a 5-year period where you feel like they really need you, and then they're in school a certain amount of day, and then all of a sudden you have the entire morning to yourself, and you're just like, oh my God, what do I do now? And at that point, having your own career, I think Zahra and Nida can both agree, having your own career, having something of your own, whether it's volunteer work or social work or your corporate job or anything, it's very important at that point. And then you suddenly wake up and you're like, oh my God, now what? So that's just been kind of the driving force for me to be able to do something for myself in the sectors that I already have experience with. So I'm a teacher. I've been an entrepreneur, I've studied marketing. So it all has kind of come together over my last few businesses, specifically in Bechlo. In Bechlo, I've literally combined everything that I've done in the last 10 years. They've come together in one sector, that's Bechlo, which is, empowering women, financial inclusion, the ability to work and earn an income from home, upskilling and training. So yeah, my motherhood is completely responsible for my entrepreneurial journey.
So you talked about changing cities. I think Zahra can relate to that, currently being in Australia. So you started mapped.pk when you were in Pakistan, right? So
That's correct.
how has your journey been? How have you really adapted to going abroad and still managing this business and really running it and taking it forward?
Yeah, I think I have a few things to say about that. So first off, I think when I talk about like moving, so the reason why maps were such a attraction for me was because I've struggled with this identity and belonging in two cities. Sometimes you try to put yourself in a box and you say, अच्छा या तो मैं पाकिस्तानी हूँ या मैं ऑस्ट्रेलियन हूँ, अच्छा मैं पाकिस्तान में होती हूँ तो मैं इस तरह से होती हूँ, मैं मेलबर्न में होती हूँ तो मैं इस तरह से होती हूँ, and it kind of I started making dual maps where Karachi and Melbourne kind of merged together. And that resonated with so many people. And we have so many maps like Toronto and Faisalabad. And, there's so many maps that came together and people started to really connect with it, like including myself. Okay, in this time and age, it's time for us to embrace different sides of us, and different cities bring that. And again, like Ziana was saying, motherhood kind of pushes you to bring all these talents in one place. So I used to be a teacher. I'm an artist. Then I became an architect. But I was able to do these maps because I had already done graphic design, because I was already a teacher, because I had done all of those things pehle. वो सारी चीजें map PK में, they all came together. And then when it came time for me to move to Melbourne, I'd already been in Melbourne. I had actually moved to Karachi as a single mother just to study, and my parents supported me, like you were saying. Your parents support you now. Your mother supports you. So my mother played a really, really big role in picking me up in a very difficult time, and then really helping me to stand up on my 2 feet with my daughter. And then when the time came for me to move to Melbourne, I was running the show alone. And I think going through the accelerator also really, really put so many things into perspective. And along that time, I brought a partner into the business. And it was really liberating, because me being, an artistic sort of a person, I was able to really fully concentrate on building products, making maps, putting all my creativity into it, while my partner loves to work with Excel sheets. So, it was such a perfect balance of us both working. And also, I really now find a lot of grounding. The fact that Map PK is like my baby, like you were saying, Ziana, like Map PK is like my baby, which is there grounding me in Pakistan. It's kind of become my identity. And hopefully, it's just something that keeps growing for everybody in the team, for both my partner in Karachi, Manize, and myself here.
And I think you're completely right. So when you start a startup, it actually becomes your baby. So even if you're not a mom, you have to act like a mom, because you have to do all those choti cheeses as well that you never thought you would do. So whether it's going around for meetings or whatsoever. So usi pe aata hai, Nida, my question from you is, say you said you have 3 children right now and you're running an accelerator that empowers so many women on a yearly basis. You run this program, you manage it, you talk to so many people. I've been a part of it myself. I've seen how many sessions you guys organize and the hands-on training that you guys give. So what have been some of the major challenges that you've personally faced being a mompreneur? And how have you really managed to, handle all of that?
I think the first thing that I learned and I practice is that I'm unapologetic about it. Being a mom means that, that's a role that I cannot shy away from. Everything else for me personally, and this is my own personal opinion, is optional. My kids need me. They're, as I said, the eldest is 11. They're still very young, and the youngest is 3. But at the same time, I've learned to take on things that I can manage. Yearly wali jo aapne baat ki hai, that is because I don't do more than one major program myself, jisme main itni involved hoti hai. And that is because, then I plan my whole year around it. Okay, 6 months, I'm going to be doing part of other things that my company does. And we, again, a supportive partner really makes a difference, who understands, like Zahra has been fortunate enough to find. I know Ziana has Faria as well. So, it has to be a bit of a teamwork in there as well. But managing all of this means that, you need to be more organized. Perhaps, there are a lot of things that you might not be able to do to perfection, and you've got to cut yourself some grace for that. It is okay. But the most important thing is that you have to show up. You have to be unapologetic about it. Whenever I do take on any meetings or anything, my clients and everybody do know that there is, if there is an online call, my kids know that, mom's not shut in. They can walk in. They've learned the manners of how to just quietly tap me on my finger without being seen on the screen. COVID was fortunate enough to teach me, give us the time to teach me that to the kids. But simply for that, you have to be unapologetic about it. I am unapologetic about being a mom, but at the same time, I am also unapologetic about saying that, yes, I want to do more with my life. I am intelligent, I'm educated, I have the time and the capability to manage it and to create an impact. हमारे यहाँ अगर moms को ये guilt दिया जाता है कि you're working, तो जो stay at home moms होती हैं, unfortunately they also get shamed कि तुम पढ़ लिख के कर क्या रही हो, सिर्फ बच्चे पाल रही हो. So either ways you're going to get shamed anyway. So choose wisely to do what you really want to do, and then stick to that decision. There are hard days, yes, but that doesn't mean that those who are not doing it otherwise don't face the hard days. So you just got to be a bit organized. You've got to manage things properly and just, time yourself accordingly.
All right. So for you, I think...
Sorry, Javeria, I just wanted to add, I think being a mom and being an entrepreneur, the biggest thing you get out of it is growth as a person.
Absolutely.
Like it all just comes in, like being organized, how to handle so many things, relationship, like businesses are all about relationships.
It's all about stakeholder management, चाहे वो आपके घर की side की हो, चाहे आपके work की हो. You need to set in boundaries. People around you need to understand. And, it's your responsibility to help them understand, not just bulldoze, but, get them on sitting with you. Okay, these are the things that I plan to do. This is what I really want to do with my life. And this is how I plan to do it. Be it your kids, be it people at home, and also be it your partners, your stakeholders, because, that's all of the baggage that you're bringing to the table with you, seen or unseen.
And I think being an entrepreneur helps you grow in other aspects as well.
Absolutely. You can't be an entrepreneur until and unless you know how to do each and every aspect of your business.
Yes, exactly. And I think that is the role of a mom as well. To, even if you don't know, you just somehow have to do it, and then you find ways to do it. I think that's the best thing about that's the best thing about being a mom and having moms. So Ziana, organization has worked for Nida. What are some strategies that I think you would suggest that have helped you balance your role as a mother and an entrepreneur, and really, take your kids and your business forward together? So what have been some strategies that have worked for you?
So absolutely, right? Like Nida managed, setting boundaries, being organized. I think for me, what's been super amazing, especially with Bechlo, is that this time I'm not a solo founder. I have co-founders. And I also have a larger support system. So I think sometimes we feel like as moms, we have to do everything ourselves. Or, ye hota hai ki aap micromanage karte hain. And I think this time what I feel like is different in my businesses with Bechlo as well is that I've learned over time that I don't need to micromanage. I can ask for help, whether it's from my co-founders, whether it's from my team members, whether it's from family members who I need help with, with picking and dropping my children, or, I have 3 as well. So I think, having a support system, having co-founders, having a team that you can rely on, and not being shy of not being able to do everything absolutely yourself. you have to set your own boundaries. So you set boundaries within, like as I said, your family, you set boundaries and you set, your work hours, but also understanding that if it's getting too much, you can take a step back, reassess those boundaries, and then set new ones. Because it's a curve, right? Your motherhood, maybe kids might be having exams, or there may be something, some kind of life change experience. Like I recently moved countries earlier this year, so there was a lot going on for us. And then obviously Bechlo was also a part where I was growing, so I had to step back, speak to my team. We reassessed our duties. We figured, okay, what are things that I can delegate? I'll delegate, and I think that's really important. You have to understand your own limitations, your own capabilities, and keep evolving over time. Everything is not set in stone, and that's the luxury of being an entrepreneur. You work according to your own schedule. Yes, there are going to be deadlines coming in, but you can reevaluate and have that support system. I think the support system is huge.
And I think with the mention of exams again, I think I can relate as well, because I have my exams going on right now, being in university, and mujhse zyada my mom is stressed.
Yeah.
I just cleared with all A's, 5th grade with all A's. So I'm very proud of myself today. I just came back from the PTM in the morning. So
good for you.
So duties, mom duties again.
Great, so yes, well.
But the thing is, my mom is constantly worrying about me. Khana kha lo, so jao, ye kar lo, ye kar lo. And I think that just comes automatically with motherhood as well.
So I think what you're saying is interesting, right, Javeria, ki hum as moms, we do tend to micromanage and expect that our kids, you're 20, your mom is still asking you to eat. So but then sometimes that translates into your business as well. And if you start doing that with employees, it's all of a sudden it's like, is she my boss? Is she my mom? So I think that's also something that I feel like I've had to work on, because obviously the people I'm hiring, I call them kids. They're about 10 years younger than me. But ye ek hota hai ki, you have to then also, you're so used to telling someone
Separate
to do
it as well from your identity. Yeah.
every single thing. Then as when you're managing a team, you have to remember and just hold back and say, no, I have to give them a chance. They know how to do it. And I have to not micromanage. So I think that's something as well that you have to kind of draw that.
I want to add something to that. I feel like while, we have to pull back ourselves and say, okay, I have to give them a chance. We are also like, as mothers, we make for really, really amazing mentors, because we come from a place where we train our staff, people, we're not afraid of hiring people with no experience. And we have this belief that, we can teach them, we can guide them, we can help them. And also there's this real sense of fulfillment when someone who comes into your team as, like you said, a university student or a graduate or, someone, and then in a year's time or 2 years' time, they are someone who are, managing things. They have this real life experience of dealing with teams and workload and projects and all of those things. So I feel like that's such a big plus that comes innately for us as mothers and being entrepreneurs.
And I think that also really makes you guys happy as well. It really makes women who are mothers especially happy, because I think quick sense of, I don't know how to explain it, but you care about them more. And I think that just automatically comes from motherhood, because you treat them like your children. Okay, moving on. So Zahra, tell me something about what has helped you really stay motivated. You've talked about how you went back to study, you shifted to Australia, you were a single mother, you've done so many things over time. So what really kept you motivated and focused on your goals when you were facing these obstacles, when there were so many problems, when you had to manage everything? So what kept you motivated?
Can you hear me? Are you able to hear me?
Yes. I think
sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, I think I was kind of hoping that यहाँ पे late हो चुका है, यहाँ पे कोई call नहीं आएगी, but
what time is it in Australia, वैसे?
It's 8:30 here.
Okay.
At night.
I was like, कोई बहुत late तो नहीं हो गया?
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. I was gonna say that what motivated me was, honestly speaking, my real journey for myself did start when I have my daughter, and when she was 2 years old is when I realized that I really wanted her to have a happy mother. And what I understood as a teacher, because I was a teacher before, is that you can never really teach anything to anyone. You can only be a role model. So if I'm doing something that will have far more impact on my children, on my students, on the people around me, than me actually going and telling them कि ये अच्छा है तुम्हारे लिए और ये अच्छा नहीं है. So I think what struck in my head was that if I'm happy, I need to be on this journey of understanding what brings me joy, what excites me, what are the things that make me excited about life. And that's when I made those decisions. So it was a lot of decision making that I wasn't used to culturally. As a Pakistani girl, I was not raised to make decisions. All the decisions were made for me. So that was the biggest turning point in terms of creating a life in which I felt motivated. So my first decision was, to separate, and then after that decided that I wanted to study architecture, even though it was something that everybody said was not lucrative. It was a very difficult journey, but I enjoyed every single day. And I think but if I had to tell someone how to live their life with motivation, I would say just take one day at a time. And every single day I just felt, and I was very grateful. So I was just very grateful that I have this one more day to do what I love to do. And step by step, it was 5 years, and I had a distinction in architecture and graduated with that degree. And mappedpk got published in Forbes, and all of those things happened only because it was a very courageous journey where I was very scared a lot of times. But like they say, courage is when you're scared, but you do it anyway. And it's a bit of a cliche saying, but I really, really lived it. And that's what kept me going. Because if you take one step, वो बोलते हैं ना, आप एक कदम लेते हैं, अल्लाह 10 कदम आपके लिए लेता है. So when you take that one step, I feel like doing things that bring us joy are from God. And it's almost like a prayer, like you're worshiping, you're really dedicating your life to doing what your purpose is in life is what motivates you. So when you're doing something that really brings you joy, then it's not work, it is motivation in itself. And that journey has just been like a snowball effect. When you start doing and you learn more about yourself, you start doing more things. And I think at this point, the most important thing I want to say here is that as mothers, 14 years of my life, I didn't do that. I was for 14 years of my life, I didn't realize what made me happy, or that I will have to do things differently than how I'm expected to do things. But as a human being, we have to think of ourselves not just as women and mothers and wives. We have to also think that as a human being, what makes me excited, and can I start taking little steps every day towards that. So yeah, I think it was ज़्यादा philosophical बात हो गई, but I feel like that's the gist of my journey so far. And when you do things that bring you joy, automatically I think that joy is felt by the world, and your work shows it.
And yeah, and I think joy ke saath saath taking that first step, even being scared or despite the risk, I think that's the most important part. Because nowadays, I think we have so many resources that can help us grow so much. But once you take the first step, you get to learn so much more. And so with that, I'll come on to you, Nida. You run an accelerator, right? So for the audience that's watching right now, for those who are scared to take the first step, what are things that a woman entrepreneur or any entrepreneur whatsoever, or anyone who wants to be an entrepreneur should, really start doing? What are the things that they should focus on before starting a business? Yeah, thoda business side pe aa jate hain, moving on from the mom aspect of it.
I think first of all, you need to have the urge so strong to do that it makes you lose your sleep. You need to be motivated enough, itna ke raat ki neend agar aapki usse ud nahi rahi hai, because there are days that it's going to get so hard juggling everything around you that you're going to question, why am I on this journey in the first place? If you ask me, I think that's like the first and the complete answer to all of this. Coming back to it, I think it's really important to get your, your things organized enough, and just having an idea is not all that is needed. Your ability to execute it is important. Your ability to understand what is needed for that execution is important. And third most important thing is कि क्या उसकी market, whatever you are wanting to sell, is there an audience or a customer for it or not? Because that is going to make an effort, you're worthwhile. कि आप जो time spend कर रहे हैं उसका return on investment, आपके time का, आपके effort का, all of the sacrifices that you're making for it, is it there or not? And why I'm saying this is because, a lot of people have, wonderful ideas, but they are not really sellable ideas. And when that happened, it's kind of heartbreaking them do all of that work, but they're quite stuck on their own ways of things. कि वो pivot नहीं करते. That doesn't mean that they're good entrepreneurs. That doesn't mean that they, they don't, have an understanding of what the product is, but they need to understand at the right time. Okay, when is my time to either switch my idea, or is it my time to, kind of like wrap up, okay, this is not selling, I need to do something else.
All right. And I think Ziana can talk about this further as well, because
He's done
3
3 of them.
startups. Yes. And Ziana, were you doing a job before that? Like,
So
were
I
you
started as an ESL teacher, as an English as a second language teacher. Then I worked in advertising, and then I was teaching in a school. So those were my basically work experiences. Advertising was full-time, 9 to 5. But I was in the Middle East at the time. Advertising industry was a bit different from what I had wanted to do. And then I also realized as I'm going towards motherhood and I want to have kids, I kind of changed direction. That okay, let me go back to teaching. So I think for me, some of the things that Nida said obviously hold completely, right? But it's also about when you're starting up a business. So each time I started up my businesses, there was a need that came across. I was not planning to start that specific business. I came across a need. So my first business was an e-commerce lifestyle business where I had just moved to the Middle East and I had come from Pakistan. I was newly married, so I was wearing all these nice fancy clothes. And there was a huge expat community over there. And they were like, oh, we want to get clothes the way you get clothes. So how do you do this? And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll get it done for you. Ek designer ko ya friend ko message kiya who's a designer, dusri friend ko. Started informally connecting these people with designers, and then more and more people started asking, and I was like, okay, this is interesting. Looked it up online. There was no such platform. This is in 2010. There was no such platform for Pakistani designer wear, but there was lots of platforms for Indian designer wear. And automatically I realized that Pakistan mein nahi hai, but India ki designer wear jata hai pure mulk mein, price point similar hai, so let's try. And there was a need. There was definitely a need. It was a small market at the time. And I started off catering to the market in Kuwait where I was living. But as once I launched the website and I learned everything on the job. So again, a lot like motherhood, right? You think I had a business background, had a business degree, but jab tak aap business shuru nahi karte, aapko har cheez, from scratch seekhni padti. So just like motherhood, until you have the baby and you start changing that diaper, you don't realize what goes into it and how complicated it actually is. So I learned how to, do some basic coding, came up with a website, one-man show, chalaya. And पता चला कि मेरी bigger market, जो मुझे कुवैत में big लग रही थी उस वक्त, much bigger market was in North America, UK, and Australia. Australia was something I had never thought about. And that's where my orders started coming in from, and we grew organically. So that's, I think, the second thing is like when you start a business, you need to have a problem. The solution needs to be viable, and then you also have to. I know startup space, it's obviously different where you scale and you grow at all costs, and all of that is also changing. But when you start a business, you need to kind of take it one step at a time. Reach certain milestones, फिर आप grow करें. अगर आप बहुत जल्दी हर चीज करना चाहेंगे, तो you may be faced with disappointment, and then when you're faced with that disappointment, it may deter your entire journey. So another example is there was a fair going on at my kid's school, and a friend of mine said, I really want to do something, and she's a fabulous cook, and she came up with some chutneys that she wanted to sell. She was Indian, and we were in Kuwait at the time. So she's like, Acha, how many should I do? I'm like, why don't you start with 20 jars? It was a big school fair, and I start with 20 jars. What's going to happen is if you sell out those 20 jars in the first half an hour, you will feel so motivated and so excited that you will be able, at the next fair, you'll feel happy about going a little bit bigger, then you'll figure out, or you'll get a feedback about these 20 jars. We went with a slightly larger quantity. But the point was, when you're starting small and you see instant success, it drives you to go further, as opposed to her having made 150 jars, sold the same 20, but it would have led to her feeling like I'm a failure. And I think that's another thing women as us, we automatically either your success or a failure. We forget the gray in the middle. And I think that's really important. We have to realize if our child gets a bad mark on their test, or if our sales are down for one specific day, or an employee quits all of a sudden, that doesn't mean we are a failure. It is not, you can't. And I think this happens to us all the time, a lot with both, with parenting and with business. And I think I think a lot with psychological, social, jo bhi expectation hoti, and we also have a lot more to prove, right? Father will have no issues with the child having slightly lower marks, or agar kisi ne aaj quit kar diya, theek hai, the men think differently. And I think from women in our society, we are trained to think that we have to prove ourselves and we have to be extra great at everything.
And I think our society, also puts us in a place where, raising a child is the woman's job. So if they do go through failure, it is the mom's failure.
Yeah.
And I think, you were completely right about how having those small wins really drives you and motivates you to grow and really do something about, your passions. And Nida, I see your daughter. We would love to say hi to her if she wants to.
Sorry.
No, I'm saying we would love to say hi to her if she wants to.
Sophia, you want to say hello? She's coming. She loves the attention. Yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
So meet Sophia. Sophia, I was expecting Sophia when I signed the contract for the first SC woman in tech. And she has actually grown up with all of the cohorts.
Hello, Sophia.
Hello.
She's good a lot since last year, Nida, since we saw her last.
She hasn't she, mashallah?
Yeah, she's a big
Yes.
She started going to school now.
Mashallah.
She's
Adorable.
Huh?
A live example of a mom managing her journey and kids.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to normalize it. Honestly, we
this is adorable.
And I think,
All right.
I think we put a lot of these expectations upon ourselves also. And society bhi ye kehti hai ki acha, theek hai, tumhe job karni hai, bachche hain tumhare, tumhe job karni hai, dekho, kitni der kar sakti ho. Or,
वो तुम्हारा शौक है, वो तुम कर लो, लेकिन
करो, दोनों चीजें तो कर नहीं सकोगी, तो we feel like, okay, we have to go even, we have to excel at both at all costs. And I think having that supportive family, having your parents, in-laws, husband, everyone supporting you just really makes it easy. And I think that is also a luxury that a lot of women in our society don't have. And I think that's something that needs to be built. I think that's really something through, programs like what Circle is doing here, right? Normalize the conversation. Normalize the expectation of a business owner. Normalize the fact that you will have challenges. And I think it's a glamour, especially in the startup space. This glamour of the
of the fast life and everything going big every time. No, it doesn't happen that way.
That's not the truth, and we don't see the struggles behind the scenes. So I think that's so important for everyone to understand.
Yeah, I really relate to what you were saying, because the 14 years of my life were a complete flip of that, because I tried to study and my mom said, you need to be a good mother. Like, what are you doing trying to study design? That's such a waste of time. And so even though she came all the way to support me to study, she convinced me at that time that it was far important for me to be a wife and a mother. And, it took a few years, a few courses and degrees that I left in the name of all of that, until, I finally put my foot down and I said, okay, you know what? I've tried all of that. It's not what makes me happy. It's not what I want to do with my life. And that's when, when you keep I had to keep pushing to prove to my parents, when eventually they came on board and they said, okay, we're going to support you 100%. This time around, you make sure you finish your degree in architecture, do what you really want to do, we'll support your, so I kind of saw both sides of that. And in some ways, I feel like even if we are from families where those luxuries aren't there, and we have to push for them, it's worth doing it. And hopefully, people will come around to the other side.
And I think,
And I think end of the day,
sorry.
go ahead. Lenny, go
No, I
ahead.
think the
Ziana,
other thing that needs to be also normalized is the fact that the joys that you get from being a parent they're unparalleled. Like I know that, like as a mom, the joys that you get from parenting and being a mom are absolutely, out of this world. There's so much love, there's so much that comes into it. But your professional goals, they give you a kind of a different kind of joy. So I know a lot of people say, shukar ada karo. Like I've spoken to a lot of sellers, and we speak to a lot of people who are just starting out, and they feel this face criticism ke, shukar ada karo, tumhare paas bacche hain, kaam to wo log karte jo, jinke paas kuch nahi hota. So, those kind of social stigmas. And I think it's also important to talk about the fact that, your motherhood, your joy as a mother, as a daughter, as a wife, your duties as those do bring us a very different type of joy. But professional,
we also need to redefine as a society what joy to a woman actually means.
Exactly.
As well. Yeah. We've put the definition of a joy for a mother, or a married woman, or somebody who transitions into a different relationship other than singlehood, as being only associated with her house, her husband, or her children, and everything else is something that is open to being questioned by the society on the whole.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that needs to be redefined. I was on a panel a couple of months back on the International Women's Day, and I found myself saying the same thing, that, when I have a successful day at work and I come back home, at the end of the day, if I'm coming into an environment that says, oh, fine, okay, theek hai, ho gaya, ab khana pakaya hai ki nahi? So, you need your clan, you need your crowd around you to also recognize and, celebrate with you, or at least acknowledge that you've had a good day at work, and it's okay to have, and it's good to celebrate on the whole as well.
Yeah.
And
I think everyone
saying
needs,
that, oh, aaj khana acha banaye, so, let's celebrate that. That definition needs to be redefined and reassessed by the society on the whole, that, both of them are possible for us and matter equally in different situations and in scenarios for us.
And I think appreciation is important on every small achievement, whether it's related to you being a mom, an entrepreneur, education, whatsoever.
After a certain while, आपकी appreciation की need भी जो ना society थोड़ा kill कर देती है. You kind of say, okay, ठीक, this is not going to come my way. But criticism of that joy that I might be having is something that what I'm talking about. Nobody has the right to criticize what is bringing me joy, or to be, ask me to reevaluate it. Because, right now I'm in my 40s, or ab us time pe ab mujhe agar question kiya jata hai cheezon pe, so I find it a bit, I find it being intrusive as well on society's part. Okay, it's okay. I know what I'm doing. I'm self-assured and everything. It's okay. No need to second guess what I'm talking about. And if I make mistakes, they're my own.
Yeah, and I think that's where children come in. That I think I got my daughter involved a lot in terms of things that we celebrate and, talk about what brings us joy. And so now, for example, if I got a job, or if I made a really big sale, or, did my first fair or stall, or got a partner on board, those were the things that we celebrated as a family. And she knew that those are the things that need to be celebrated. Yeah. And so it kind of
that is adorable. All right. So just wrapping up this discussion, even for the audience, I would just like to ask all of you guys, the best advice that you've gotten, or the best advice that you would like to give to the audience. So let's start with Nida, then Zahra, then Ziana, and then let's just wrap up this conversation.
I'm wondering what advice I've gotten so many good advices through life.
Best one.
If I, as an entrepreneur, as a mother, because, at the same time, these are different roles, the different hats that I wear. I think whenever, more than an advice, continuing what you were saying for a little while ago, I think when your children come back to you, when you step out of a meeting or you step back into the house and your children, come to you and say, Mom, did you have a good day? And how was it? And, then when we're sitting at the table and we're celebrating things together, I think that tells me that, okay, I'm doing a good job at both the things. कि वो fine balance हो रहा है कि बच्चों को भी समझ में आ रहा है कि what I'm doing and they're appreciative of that. There's no resentment on that. At the same time, it's them also understanding, with their future partners as well. Once they grow older, I'm a mother of 2 boys, so I've always been very cognizant of the fact that they don't stereotype what the role of, their future partner is going to be. I'm kind of like, trying to build better humans for the future, for many future daughter-in-laws, whoever they would be. Good luck with one of them. He's a mess. But jokes aside, but these are the things that you need to.
I think the small celebrations
Bring
that
joy. Yeah,
celebrate
they kind of
accomplishment
bring me
together.
joy. When my kids celebrate my success, and they know that I'm in their corner, no matter how busy I am. They know no matter what, Mom is in their corner. Or kuch bhi hota hai, to it's Mom. It's never Dad all the time, except for certain. It's always Mom. We need help with this.
Can
So,
relate.
that's
Because
kind of
I
like
go to my mom.
business. Yeah, it's kind. I just called my mom about 1 hour back that I have to go to a meeting. Mom, can you come over so that you can watch over kids? Because my mom-in-law, who's also been such a huge reason. We don't talk about it much, but a huge role of what I've been able to do is because I also have another mom at home, who's my mother-in-law. Moms, your job as a mom never gets done. When I look at them, I'm like, okay, my kid's turning 16, 18, it's not going to be done. Here I am at my 40s and I'm relying on 2 of them now just to be what I'm able to, do what I'm able to do. So, it's a never ending thing, but it's always evolving. So this is
an advice for the kids. This is an advice for the kids. Celebrate your mothers.
Absolutely.
All right, Ziana. So best advice.
Okay, so I think continuing on from the fact that, the outer circle needs to celebrate that, when we are talking about ourselves and celebrating ourselves, and we hear this a lot, be kind to yourself, be kind to yourself. I think one thing that I want to give, which has really, really helped me in my life, is understanding how habits work, how we work, and how transitions work. So if we become mindful of transitions in our life when we are single and then you get married and then you become a child and then you are a student or you become an entrepreneur, these are transitions. So you have to take a breather and really be cognizant of the fact that this is a transition happening. And so these are the challenges which are going to be new, and a new me is going to have to build herself. How am I being kind to myself in terms of my habits? So habits, I realized, we say, oh, meri itni buri aadat hai, main organized nahi hu, main ye nahi hu. You can do anything, but it takes time for a habit to build. So what I realized is that, having this artistic brain, it's a very chaotic brain. And I had to really, really rein it in and put in, it didn't come naturally to me. So I had to put in a lot of effort to get to a place where I could be organized enough to work, have a business, be a mom, move countries, all of those things. But what I had to be kind with myself is that you have to make an intention. And when that intention happens, first week up front, you'll be motivated, you'll do it. The second week, it'll be a stump. So initially what I used to do with myself, I used to really berate myself down. Ek hafta kiya tumne, and then tumne chhod diya, right? So then when the second week comes and your kind of motivation is going down, you become very cognizant of the fact that, dekho, abhi thoda sa kam hoga, let's pick up again next week. And then that time period keeps stretching and your habit keeps, owning itself over a period of time. So you can have goals, you can dream, they won't happen overnight, but you also have to be kind to yourself in terms of how you adopt those habits and transitions. I think that would be my advice or 2 cents. Okay,
So I
being
think
kind to
really,
ourselves.
I think really coming down to it, don't give up on yourself because it's okay to make mistakes and it's okay to feel low.
And
I
you
think
will get, eventually you'll get the hang of it.
you're going for, right?
Bilkul, bilkul.
Javeria, please, or is that my internet?
I think Javeria, please again, thought I was frozen.
Javeria froze.
Is that, yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, we lost you
Hi.
back.
I think yeah, I'm so sorry. So I was just saying, so basically coming down to it, basically not giving up on yourself because it's okay to, feel low and then get back up again.
It's human.
Okay, so yeah, that's human. So Ziana, on to you. Last advice.
Yes, I think they've covered a lot of the really important factors. The one thing that I think as a society we need a lot more about when it comes to motherhood or entrepreneurship is there's no cookie cutter, right? So you may have a sister-in-law who is working 9 to 5 and she is a great corporate employee. She has, her kids are doing everything properly and everyone's like, "Dekho, wo to itna acha karti hai, tum kyun nahi kar rahi," right? On the other hand, you may have an entrepreneur in the family who is, selling a lot of a certain product and somebody says, ki, "Acha, wo kitna acha business kar rahi hai, tum bhi wohi kar lo." I think the cookie cutter approach, the dekha dekhi, the cookie cutter approach, I think that's something we really bog ourselves down with. And we assume that if a person has a good job, they're happy and successful. Or if they have a good business, they're happy and successful. Or if their kids are coming the top of their class, they're happy and successful. I think like Nida and Zahra both pointed out, your happiness and your joy really come from within. So you need to understand what is it that's making you happy and don't get bogged down by these societal cookie cutter approaches. This is the definition of a good employee. This is a good definition of a good working woman. This is a good definition of a good housewife. आप अपनी expectations खुद set करें and be gentle with yourself and reevaluate. And even like just like a child grows, right? They go from nursing to eating to, running to playing sports to their O-levels. Your business grows like that as well. And every phase will have its own challenges. So at any point, don't feel like, oh my God, this is it. And, life will always be like this. That's not true. Just as kids grow, your business will grow, your expectations, and you will grow. You're a different person today than you were 5 years ago, and you will be a different person in 5 years. So, understand that and embrace it. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
And I think these are some of the best advices that we've gotten by far. Because we've had, everyone faces different challenges. Everyone goes through so many things. But over time, you all eventually learn to grow. And I think with that, we'll wrap up this discussion. It was lovely having you guys over. We got some of the greatest advices. We understood so many challenges that you guys go through. And I think from the platform of Circle as well, Circle is working towards, creating that financial literacy and empowering women through different competitions such as Sheila's Tech as well, that will be starting its applications June onwards. So if anyone in the audience or if any woman entrepreneur wants to apply, you can follow Circle's page, you can check out Sheila's Tech. And I think with that said, we had a wonderful discussion. Thank you, Nida. Thank you, Zahra. Thank you, Ziana. You guys have some very inspiring stories. And it was lovely having all of you.
Thank you for having us.